So welcome, placing one or both hands over your heart space here. And just inviting attention back to your breath. Undividedly becoming attentive to this moment. As you allow attention to just easily transition into your felt experience of being. It is very easy in this sense to follow the breath. In noticing how the body is breathed. Using the sensations as pointers. It is here where there is life. And also notice that awareness is already present here. We don't need to strap it to our chair. We just need to bring attention into the awareness already present in this moment. And in this present moment, in this moment that we become undivided, I also invite you to notice how everything is already allowed. So there is no need to stress, strife, or struggle this moment. Just noticing that whatever arises already has a space here. Whatever mindset or perception lenses are active for you in this moment are meant to be. So just checking in and noticing how you are feeling. And just noticing the quality of your breath. We will make our breath the anchor of today's workshop. So every time that you find your mind and the concepts within your mind has wandered off, just come back to your breath and undividedly spend time there. And with our hands hovering over the hub of our hearts, we open ourselves up to receive the blessings of this moment in the highest of divinity. We thank the spirits, all directions, all the elements present here. And we open up this container of quantum manifestation to sink into our highest resonance. So it mote be. Humbly bowing the head down towards the inner teacher. And whenever you're ready, allowing the portal of the breath to guide you back into an interactive space. Okay, so I hope you guys came with your intentions. I already cleansed the space and called in all of my guides to help me, but also to help you. And I am going to share with you guys just a presentation of what we are going to cover today. So in this manifestation, the reason for this share is I've attended so many different workshops and master classes and retreat spaces, and all of them try to teach me about manifestation and the law of attraction. And I read The Secret and all of the books that was inspired by that secret book. And I did affirmations and vision boards, and none of them truly worked in the sense of I was underlying feeling that I'm still doing all of this, supporting this really deep belief of I am lacking, I am not enough, I still need something, or something is apart from me in this very moment. And it was my quest for that truth of noticing that dissonance for myself personally that brought me and invited me into the quantum realm and how quantum manifestation works. So this is me just sharing truth that I have come across for the past 8 years, but quantum manifestation is something that I've been an active participant in for the last 3 years. And it has really influenced my life in ways that is beyond words, beyond recognition, but to such a degree that it is as undeniable as breathing, really. So I share with you guys information today from a quantum field, also connected to a yogic field, and all the stages in between. So what we'll cover today is the first lesson of opposites. The second lesson, I'm going to just talk briefly about what resonance is. Lesson number 3 will be about rhythm entrainment, and also I will connect that to mental entrainment. Then I will share 3 helpers, and that's really interesting to work with as we go into the manifestation of a quantum realm and the resonance state. Then we will set intentions. I will take you guys through a fractal breathwork, which is a new breathwork that I've been working on also more than 3 years, that I'm ready to present to the world. And we will have a sharing circle. And then I will introduce you guys to a 21-day challenge where you can implement mental breathwork. Okay, so I will share all of this with you guys that is here to help you on this journey. And a quick introduction, if you don't know me, my name is Carla. A lot of you do know me personally, and some of you are not very familiar with me. So let's not get stuck in names and identities. Just know that I'm here to share my truth. I'm not here to convince you of any new belief systems that you have to take on. Question things that I say, even put it in the chat for me. I will constantly be looking at the chat as the mind comes up with its own resonance, its own stories, and its own questions. I welcome all of that here. And let's rather sink into the truth and the essence of things. So I'm going to jump right into it by beginning with lesson number 1 of opposites. Okay, so ever heard the saying that opposites attract? So opposites attract, in my opinion, because they are not separate. But everybody starts from a certain fundamental perception and condition. We have to take this into consideration. So what they perceive as good or bad then gets conditioned with punishment and rewards. Okay, this is the system that we go through as we grow up. And from this growing up of punishment and rewards comes online this pulling and grasping conditioned training at certain things, and also this pushing away or avoiding other things in our lives. Now, all of this creates the foundation of what is called in Buddhism our citta. So our citta is this fundamental aspect of what do you like, what do you dislike, what do you desire, what do you hate. So it's all of this literally like magnetism, pulling and pushing sensations. And we should not take this for granted, because our soul gives us these foundational things of your likes and your dislikes also to be acknowledged. So when we acknowledge these, we'll notice that your likes and your dislikes becomes your signposts in your daily life. You don't have to commit to a life of suffering and constantly be stuck in the things that you do not like. Okay, but also not grasping and holding on and identifying only with the things you like and not stepping outside of your comfort zone. So this is where the balance or the middle path comes in. So if we are noticing this, acknowledging your likes and your dislikes without preference, we call this the deconditioned middle path. okay, or the middle way. And when you come to the middle way without preference, this is also called a depolarization. So if you've ever wondered why we bring our hands together in prayer and when we chant in or tune in or do yoga, we're literally taking the two polar opposites and we're bringing that into the center without preference, so that the two polar opposites is on either side. We're not attaching to any of that, but we're standing witness in the center. So what unexamined assumptions lie in our conditioning of fundamental belief or in our view of duality? This is something overlooked, yet we never question ourselves deeper of this is my conditioning and this is a belief that I was conditioned with and passed down through the ages. But am I willing to consider to look through this belief system? So we assume that we perceive that it is true, whatever we believe, without any deeper inquiry. And this is the true misunderstanding or quote unquote problems that we face in our daily lives. The very problems that we face, I always turn my clients towards where are you looking from? Instead of noticing and clinging onto what you see and trying to solve the content, let's turn around and look at the context. Where is your point of reference where you are looking from? And at that point, if you notice where you stand, do you stand in identity? Do you stand in ego? Do you stand in body perspective? Or are you at your essence looking at all perspectives? And there's also, where is your nervous system? If your nervous system is in survival mode, then you're going to cling, you're going to run away, freeze, or fawn. And all of these things are the perceived problems. What perception are you using to look at the content? So it's really coming back to the context instead of getting stuck in the content, because the context does change the content. So here is the thing that we should have learned, in my opinion, before we learned the alphabet, is that any experience we have through our senses is vibrational. Okay, so if it's vibrational, then we have to notice the two fundamental aspects of vibration. Number one is on, and number two is off. So every wave system has peaks and valleys, or peaks and troughs. And this results in the system of life being now you see me, now you don't. Or it exists or it does not exist. So if you draw a line from the peak to the trough, what we seem to notice is that there will be positives and there will be negatives. So these two aspects always go together though. The yin and the yang are never separate. Okay, so, and the thing about the yin and the yang is the one can and will never exist without the other. So this stage of togetherness, the one does not and cannot exist without the other, which means they are inseparable and they always exist together. Just like the sun is light and hot. We cannot take the light out of the sun and still call it sun, or the heat out of the sun and still call it sun. So those are two distinctive aspects that is still in the oneness of the sun. And if we take sound as another example, sound always alternates between noise and silence, but the noise arises within the silence. So silence is always there. Maybe we're not paying attention to it. If you're listening to my words, it is because of the silence that my words can actually be portrayed as this channel. So even when noise is there, it is held within silence. Okay, so instead of seeing it as opposite, they exist together. And from this perspective, this is the most fundamental thing that we get to remember, hopefully, from this workshop. So if, I don't know about you guys, but every single time that I've met a person, it's exactly the same, that if I meet a person, they always have a front and they have a back. I've never met anyone in my life without a backside. And yet we forget about these things if we are just so focused on one aspect of this oneness of the polar opposites, right? So the positives and the negatives are polar opposites, but they are still one and they are still inseparable. So lesson number one of opposites that I want to convey as a summary here is different things can be inseparable. Different things are inseparable. Or said differently, unity does not mean sameness. And this goes for every single opposite that you can ever imagine. And allow your mind to now start thinking about this. Okay, how is black and white, which is completely the opposite, still one? These are good questions to have. I'm not saying that you have to have the answer for this. Okay, logically, this connection doesn't always make sense and it's not supposed to. But this is a fundamental truth that opposites are one. So if you think about up and down, left and right, there is this unified field, is what we call it in physics, that is connecting all of it, or that's holding all of it inside. So if we think about all the directions, right? So, or even if we think about all the elements, a lot of history would say there's 4 major elements. There's the element of fire, water, earth, and air. And those 4 elements need space or ether, or they will not exist. So space and ether could be said as the fundamental one, and all of the others elements arises within space. So space or ether can also be said to be the unified field and the connecting field. In spirituality or Buddhism, they would call this field conscious existence. In Christianity, they would call this conscious field now I just remember the Afrikaans name for this, but the Holy Spirit, the Holy Spirit that is in everything and everything is in Holy Spirit, or God, or Allah, or whatever. There's so many names, yet it's something unnameable. It's something that cannot be contained because it is the container for everything else. So instead of trying to grasp at this truth, just look at where it's pointing instead. So when we forget this fundamental truth of unity, funny things seem to happen. If we take the example of being versus non-being, if we think being is not connected to non-being, then when we forget this truth, there is a very weird thing that happens of we're now making being correct and non-being incorrect. So we're going to strive for constantly being instead of noticing that being arises within non-being. They are never separate. And this becomes the breeding ground for enormous suffering within our lives, mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And we have become a species specialized in a certain kind of awareness. And this certain kind of awareness we have named or called conscious attention. So with this conscious attention, we have a very narrow focused attention. With this narrow focused attention, this is, for example, what you read with, the periphery starts to disappear. So when we restrict the gaze just to a narrow focused attention of what is right in front of us, and we exclude the periphery or the gaze that is not central, the price we pay for that is ignorance, right? We ignore the periphery and we think that that is separate from what we are observing. So of everything outside of this narrow field becomes non-existence and becomes separate. So we tend to see the world so disintegrated from this aspect of separateness, taking separate events super seriously. And when we take this event so seriously, we forget to play. Because life is not really about reaching a destination, it's more like a dance. There's no really a destination, or we play music, so we're meant to play in life too. We're never meant to reach a specific destination. So the same goes if you want to manifest. If you want to manifest something and you create this destination for you of now you do not have this, and there will be a stage in the future, a gap between the here and there, right? And there will be a place in the future, a destination where you will have this. And now you're going to try everything in your power. Maybe also notice what you refer to when referring to I will make this happen. If you're referring to a body's perspective, are you taking a standpoint from your body's perspective of I am this body? Or are you taking a perspective of I am this mind? Or are you taking a perspective of I am this heart, meaning I am this feeling? Neither are you. All of that arises in what you are. So that's a very important flip to also make, like flipping the coin over to the other side. And instead of referencing yourself to a body, a mind, or a feeling, we reference ourselves as the body, mind, and feeling arising within what we are. So we're expanding ourselves instead of contracting ourselves and collapsing ourselves only into a wave of perception. So this is like sinking deeper into that wave and becoming one with the ocean. Remembering yourself as the ocean, and then you'll have no problem with whatever wave arises within that. So when we believe that we are only this wave, if identity is collapsed only in this wave form of what we think we are, this leads to a very strong attachment and belief that we are separate, we are isolated from the rest of the world, from the rest of existence, and that I end at the edge of my epidermis. And that's a very limiting thing for the absolute. And the absolute being squeezed already into this embodiment of being a human for a while is already, this is the whole of existence in a human form. So if we're going to collapse that even smaller just in one feeling and identifying with I am angry, then it becomes even more restrictive. So there is a different part of you that acknowledges that you are more, but you are choosing to believe that you are only a feeling or only a thought. And this creates a lot of confusion on a soul level, which creates a lot of disharmony in your energetics of vibrational fields. So if I'm going too fast, please let me know. I have notes, but sometimes I get way off of them. So if you guys are losing me, just place an emoji so I can know that you're still with me. So if a thought arises and you hear this, right? So what thoughts arise then for you hearing that you're not separate, or you can distinctively see another being that seems separate from you, and yet now I'm giving you information that that being is completely not separate from you. So this is such a simplistic truth, which the mind might try to compensate and say this is too simple. But the only thing is noticing that that's also a thought arising is perfectly okay. We don't have to side with a thought, okay? We don't have to identify with a thought whatsoever. And this goes back into science and spirituality. I've heard so many people say, oh, finally, science and spirituality is meeting and merging. In my opinion, they were never separate to begin with. So now the curiosity of scientists is open-minded enough to explore that the realm of spirituality is one with the realm of science. So the curiosity is now expanding into an open awareness. But they were never separate to begin with, so they don't have to merge in that way. But if we have forgotten that we are unity with everything that is, then we can say there is a kind of reconnection. Words fall short here, but it is very apparent that it's almost like saying the illusion never has to be proven as an illusion because it's the illusion, right? So it doesn't have to fall away because it was never there to start with. So this was opposites, which fundamentally truth as just a summary again for this before I move to resonance is that unity does not mean sameness. We don't have to be the same. And in that, this unity, celebrate your uniqueness, celebrate your difference, because it is that difference that you came here to share authentically with the world. Sorry, I cannot seem to skip here. Okay, let me try this again. Technology always has something in it for me. And today, maybe it's patience. There we go. Okay. So resonance. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this video of the screenshot that I took here of two tuning forks. Let's say both of them are tuned to 440 hertz. If you place them next to each other and you ring only the one, both will start vibrating. And this is because they are both in a resonant system. So the airways generated by the first stem fork is then impinged by the second one and emits a frequency that will absorb the energy and the waves of that frequency, preferentially because the energy comes to it as its own natural energy. Okay, so this energy transfer between these two is what we called an optimum system of resonance because they are two oscillators. Okay, so the body is also an oscillator, by the way. So if you don't know what an oscillator is merely a mechanical or electrical device that works on the principle of a periodic fluctuation between two things based on changes of energy. So this takes me back to remember like the saying, your vibe attracts your tribe. And it's not really attraction really, because both of those energies are already present. So it's not like you have to attract it outside of this moment into this moment. If it's in the same system and its vibrational field is active, then it will resonate with each other. So maybe it's saying the same thing, or maybe you understood that as the same thing. But for me, attraction was understood as something that is not here right now. I have to seek it outside of this moment and somewhere else, and I have to pull it into this moment. But if you understood it differently, beautiful. But understanding resonance for me really opened up a whole different understanding of abundance, a whole different understanding of manifestation. Because in the law of attraction way of trying to manifest, I always, like I said, like there was a deep hidden agenda from my ego to prove that I am lacking, that I am not good enough. And it would look for ways to prove in a narrative way of something happening in my life. Yes, this is because you did not do enough work, or this is because you're lacking, or you do not deserve this and this and this. And through that, creating vision boards and things like that, trying to attract that, I always fell short, and I was always attracting more lack instead of opening up the programs that was in my subconscious mind, and from there, noticing what's pulling me down. So we are, as a soul, we are already like, it's our innate ability to float, just like a cork naturally floats on water. So I see things a little bit in the opposite direction, or a different paradigm, that we don't have to attract abundance. Abundance is already here. But what we do have to look at is freeing ourselves, or cutting away all of the weights that's pulling that cork down into the water. And as you start cutting away those corks, the cork will naturally float. So abundance is already present within this moment. We just have to start looking at the ways that we are capping that abundance out. And that happens with programs. So mental programs for us to start disproving and retuning our resonance frequency within our body. And the next, this is lesson number 2, by the way. This is resonance. You are an oscillator. So whatever you have your vibrant frequency at, that's going to resonate naturally and organically with the same frequency that you're going to start interacting with. So if you're constantly resonating at a frequency of lack or loss or anger, then it's going to appear that life just keeps giving you more and more things to be angry about, or more and more things to convince yourself that you are lacking or not enough. But this is the very frequency that you're vibrating at. So this is a resonance. It's not an attraction. It's just giving you an insight about what you're resonating at, okay? The frequency you're resonating at. And exactly the same way is when we should not be taking things personally. If someone else hurt you, it is not a projection about you. It's merely a confession about where their energy level is at. If you attach to that hurt, once again, then maybe it is resonating with an energy that's already within you. So that's the responsibility that we need to take, right? Is recognizing that no one can hurt someone else and no one can heal someone else. This is the best conspiracy for me, or truth in this spiritual realm, that so many teachers are, oh, come to me, I can heal you. And they take on this role of God, and forgetting that you're just meant to guide the other person to their own inner authentic God. Like we are all God, right? Like we are all, and maybe that's a word that is used in a very different way, but we are all the absolute. Maybe that's a word that's not so dogmated, if that's even a word. But from there, this is the resonance. This is the next fundamental aspect. Number 1 is unity. Number 2 is resonance. Number 3, we come to rhythm entrainment. If you haven't seen this video of metronomes that are out of sync, and within less than a minute, all of these metronomes go back into the same rhythm, clicking 100% in sync with each other. And why? This happens because nature is always falling into the path of least resistance and of the most energy efficiency. It will also happen with clocks. If you have clocks with the same length of pendulum in one room, over 24 hours, if their click was out of sync, it will come back into sync. And this is what is called rhythm entrainment. So this is the laws of nature, if you want to call it that. If you look at rivers too, they're always looking for the path of least resistance. And again, I'm going to link this back towards noticing your likes and your dislikes as signposts. Okay, your signposts is also connected to your rhythm entrainment. Choose the path of least resistance, but do not get stuck in your comfort zone. That's a completely different subject. So it's okay to follow your likes. You're meant to do that. But if there is something that is keeping you in your comfort zone instead of making you break and grow out of your seed, then I would say that is something that you have to recognize and realize within yourself. Now, the heart is the biggest noisemaker in the body. Okay. And we all know through biohacking that the breath influences the heart. So the breath is directly correlated to the heartbeat. Now, we're going to zoom into a quantum level just for a while, starting with a nucleus of an atom of the heart, okay? Let's say that this vibration at an enormous rate, so the vibration of an atom is anything between 10 to the power of 13 hertz to 10 to the power of 14 hertz. So there's 13 zeros after that, okay? It's an enormously fast rate. And this is why they say that everything is vibrational. It only seems to be solid because it's vibrating at such a high rate that it seems to be stuck in time, which is crazy, right? The paradoxicals of this world just completely blows my mind, but opens up my interest and curiosity. Okay, so these electrons of these atoms and molecules are all associated with that specific vibratory rate that that atom is spinning out. So the most important aspect of matter is this vibratory field. If you look at wind, or you look at a river, or you look at water flowing, this really intrigues me so much. You can never see what is moving the water, but you can see the effect of that. The water is moving because this field, this vibratory field, is moving through the water. So the water is just riding the vibratory wave. And once a wave starts, it cannot be stopped. So you're either on that wave and riding in the direction of the wave, or you have to get off of that wave. The wave is not going to stop. Energy can never be created nor destroyed, only transformed or influenced. So remember this. We cannot create something, but we can transform something, or we can influence something into a different direction, or, for example, reflect light into a new direction. But we cannot stop the wave of light. So this is an important matter of energy when it comes to manifestation too, because when we think, the mind and the brain is the electrical unit of the body, okay? So this sends out signals and it sends out energy. It does not create consciousness, it receives consciousness and translates it into an electrical signal. The heart, on the other aspect, is the magnetism. So the heart is, if you want to call it that, the attracting of resonant energies. So your thought sends out electrical signals and your heart resonates at a certain resonance, and it starts attracting that same thing. So this becomes the loop of existence, if you want to call that in short. And with this, magnetic components that spread out from the heart space, it actually spreads out in the light, or at the speed of light. Why? Because the velocity of light is, or the electrical impulse and the wave sound is produced by the heart, and that heart and the sound travels at the speed of light. Okay, so they are all mingling. Your thoughts are mingling with your heart. They all create interference patterns. So if a peak meets a peak, they amplify each other. Okay, if a peak meets a trough, they cancel each other out or they diminish each other accordingly. So when a system is in resonance, it is amplifies, and all your different vibrational fields in your body, from your brain, your heart, every single cell, an organ, all of them creates these pockets or atmospheres of vibrations within your body. all of them are in sync. So all of the peaks meets the peaks and all of the troughs meets the troughs. And this amplifies your energy outwards. Okay, so rhythm entrainment also happens within the body. And studies have now showed that when we hold the breath, our body automatically and naturally comes into rhythm entrainment. So when we're doing breath work and we're putting a pause on the breath and the sound of the breath and the movement of the body doesn't create the interference patterns for the resonator, the heart being the loudest resonator in the body itself. It's almost like this beautiful thing that happens. So the aorta, I'm just going to get a little bit geeky here with the body. So the aorta is the largest vein, right? So the heart pumps blood through the aorta and it goes through the body. Now that aorta splits at the hips, and we call it, if I'm not mistaken, the 𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁 with your legs. So as it leaves the heart, okay, there's a signal that goes out. So the sine wave starts. Once it splits at the hips, a reflection of energy goes back up to the aorta, and it interferes with the pattern. When we pause the breath, that interference is no longer there, and it synchronizes with each other. So the heart's magnetism and the resonance of this entire unit called an oscillator is now in sync, and it's optimized. So if this is optimized and it's infused with the intention, not only by thought, but also by feeling, we start getting into a beautiful realm where a lot may call it the magic realm or the mystery realm or the miracle realm, because things happen in no time at all, and we cannot make logical sense from that. So this is quantum manifestation through resonance, because it requires very little energy to drive the frequency of a resonance system. And this is also what people call the flow state, by the way. So the flow state is where all of these systems is in perfect resonance with each other. Okay, still with me, guys. 3 helpers, where this is the last little part. So all of the science and physics part is out of the way now. I felt it's really important just for the logical mind to really understand what's going on within the body before we move to these things. So the 3 helpers to help you recognize authentically what is already a part of your quantum field is imagination, perception, and personal affirmation. So imagination is really, if you think imagination, it's the capacity of your unconscious and subconscious mind. So if you're imagining something, it's coming from a deeper sense. Your imagination doesn't need anything else to confirm it, or it doesn't need any past history. It can come up with new things that it has never experienced before. So if we look at the prism of perception, like the 5%, which is your conscious, then we have the subconscious and the unconscious, that's 95%. It is said that your unconscious is actually your soul's light trying to shine through your subconscious, which is all of your limiting programs of your inner child, of your shadow, all of those things that's in your subconscious mind that's trying to help you survive. And your soul unconscious is trying to shine through into the consciousness so that we have our sovereign potential fully online in this human form. So, and it has, your unconscious has the enormous potential of imagination. If you look at children, their ability to imagine is still so broad. Why? Because their subconscious mind and all of the programs that's automated is not limiting that or obscuring that in any way. So imagination for manifestation is extremely important. If you cannot imagine it, then it means you cannot tap into that unified field. And that unified field is really where pure potential is. The mind cannot conceptualize emptiness, but emptiness is never filled with nothing. It's actually filled with the opportunity for everything. And that is the void. It's just the unmanifested. And you're already connected to that unmanifested through the unified field. I said perceiving is the second helper. A lot of people say visualize. Now, I say perceiving because this is something that truly annoyed me so much, and it caused me so much harm in my meditation practice, because the introduction for all meditation is normally a guided meditation of visualization. I cannot visualize. Okay, so if you're anything like me and you have aphantasia, I have a black mind. So if I close my eyes and someone says, imagine yourself on a beach and you feel so tranquil and calm, and you're walking and you see your inner child coming, what is your inner child doing? I can never picture things. And there is different ways that we perceive. We perceive with all 5 of our senses. And this is super important when we do go into our manifestation process. Include all 5 your senses. Notice, number 1, which is your predominant sense. For example, mine is auditory. If someone tells me, imagine a red apple, I hear auditorily how that red apple is shaped. Is it shiny? Is it not shiny? What hue of red it is? Does it have a little leaf at the top? I auditory can describe that very particularly, but I don't see anything. Now, maybe you are a visual person and you can see that red apple. Beautiful. Then that's your predominant sense. So some people might be clairvoyant. Some people might be the auditory side or the feeling side. Some people really get triggered so by a smell or a taste that that is their predominant sense. So this inquiry and this work lies with yourself first, to notice what is your predominant sense in this. Okay, and once you have your predominant sense, you can work with that, but don't leave out the rest. Include all of them. And then a personal affirmation. So a personal affirmation here, I say personal and not a global affirmation, because a global affirmation is like sugarcoating shit and calling it a donut, in my opinion. So you can write, I am enough, I am enough, I am enough, I am enough, all over your walls, all over your mirror, everything. But if that doesn't have a personal connection and it doesn't open up your emotional body, it's not gonna do anything for you. So coming into your programming, your subconscious mind, you have to start noticing what is personal for me. And once you know what is personal for you, make your personal affirmation on a feeling. Okay. So if you want to if you want to have more wealth in your life, then say, I feel good when I have abundance of wealth in my life to help others. Or I feel good when I have abundance of wealth in my life to support my family or to spoil my family or whatever it is. But I feel good when I have this. Again, this personal affirmation, yes, there's truth in it, is in the present moment. So you're not going to, when I have, put it in a moment that's out of this one, because they simply do not exist. But essentially, bring in your feeling in your personal affirmation. Now, in recent posts, probably for the last 2 weeks, I have posted about control, seeking, beliefs, temple technology, how our bodies is also temple technology, your nervous system, the regulation of that, all of these things. There's simply not enough time to go into detail of all of them. But hopefully what I want to offer this workshop is just a window into how I work with clients one-on-one, and also a super exciting new course that I'll be launching in October that takes this manifestation process over a term of 6 to 7 weeks, where we go through the different stages of deconditioning and opening up deeper and deeper layers of our authenticity, of whatever you want to manifest. It's already a part of your quantum field. So, more so, we have to remember once again how to stop doing instead of trying to do manifestation. We have to allow it to happen. Just like allowing integration to happen or allowing relaxation to happen. It's not a doing, it's a non doing. But you're still an active participant in noticing what programs of the mind are you identified with, and can you decondition from? Can you reprogram from? You can rewire your nervous system to reconnect and resonate at a frequency of love instead of a frequency of fear. And this will all help your process. And the way that I do this, and I'm going to share with you today, is through the breath. Why? Because the breath is the gross of prana. Prana is the gross of the mind. So slowing down the breath or speeding up the breath controls prana and tames the mind. So the practice is never ever the core, but more so the bridge to the state of your joyful present awareness. So don't get stuck in the practice either. Don't get stuck in the helpers. Notice that they are pointing to something. So this pointing to something is much more important than clinging on to what it seems to be pointing at. So we're going to set intentions. Is everyone still with me? Again, if you have questions, I will check the chat throughout this if questions do arise. So intention setting. Okay, beautiful. Thanks, guys. So intention setting, I'm going to introduce you guys to what is called Sankalpa today. So this is, again, it's a Sanskrit word, but I just break it down in order for you to understand, because I like an intention to be one-worded, because this takes out the narration of it. But what I would want you guys and invite you guys to do today is whatever you want to manifest and whatever your heart's desire is, we're going to break that down. So Sankalpa means sun is to become one with, and kalpa is the subconscious or the heart's desire. So you become one with this heart's desire, which means you start resonating at that frequency, and that frequency starts activating the others too. Just like those two stem forks, if you are a stem fork and you're never bringing your stem fork into vibration, then it means you don't have the opportunity to start vibrating or awakening that same resonance and frequency into other oscillators too. So take a moment to take your intention, whatever your intention is, and break it down into a one-worded sankalpa. So maybe as an example, if you break this down, if you want to, for example, have a villa in the forest. Maybe it's not that villa in the forest, but maybe your heart's desire, true desire, is a feeling of safety or security. Or if you want a new car, instead of connecting to that new car or the wealth that you want, or that it perceives as the narration of the story, maybe the heart's desire is a feeling of freedom. So again, I cannot do this for you, but I do invite you to break down your narration of what you want to manifest, break it down into a single word sankalpa or into a single word feeling. So I included some of them here, which is heart's desires and universal desires for all human beings. To be peaceful, grateful, optimistic, confident, exhilarated, joyful, inspire, hopeful, satisfied, blissful, All of these are already a part of your quantum field. So what do you want to concentrate on, and what do you want attention to pull? So I would say, if you've ever seen a physics video of how gravity is pulling, so meaning like it's not a pulling like a rope, but a pulling of more water is damping there, if I'm explaining that correctly. So the field of awareness is already connected to your fabric of life. And now we're dropping something and we're literally catching more of that in a specific place. So if you do have that, please put it in the chat, your one word of what you are working on and what you're going to concentrate on. I know we have lots, but the thing about this, there's no need to lose patience. There's no need to be greedy. Work with one thing at a time until that one thing is throughout your entire satisfied. Emily, thank you so much for sharing. Until that one thing you can truly say is in your field active completely, then from there you move to the next one. Harmony, Hannah, thank you. So the one I've been working with, Simon, safe, thank you, is grateful. And my intention is going to stay grateful. Okay, so having this knowing, beautiful. Marielle, inspired. So there's a few on Marielle's side. Beautiful. I love this. So thank you guys for breaking this down into that. Now, just some emotional intelligence is a positive feeling is when all our needs are met, and a negative feeling when our needs are not met. So there's also a really deep curiosity, but also bravery to actually listen to the heart of how is it feeling now, and also what is it longing for to feel. There's a deep understanding and truth, internal truth, that we have to come to terms with. It is what it is, and that's okay. But allowing yourself to feel that and allowing whatever is here to be here is very, very essential. So this is our intentions. You're going to concentrate on this very intention, not only for this practice, but I'm also going to introduce you guys how you can incorporate this into your daily lives, not to, again, compartmentalize a practice from your daily life, but to merge everything. So I'm going to explain to you guys about fractal breathwork. So fractal breathwork is something that really triggered my interest. I was trained in a lot of different modalities, from soma breath to the Wim Hof, alchemy, Vayu, all of these different kinds. And my love for Kundalini and breath work and intention setting and philosophy just kind of merged together. So fractal breathwork evolved from that. And maybe someone else is doing the same thing and naming it something different. But this is just my explanation of this. So fractal breathwork uses gestures of the hands, which then sends signals to the entire body. The eyes are the fastest way into the bloodstream, believe it or not. So this is a very effective way to induce trance states. So before we get the wrong impression and preconception about what trance states are, this is merely expanded consciousness, the nervous system resetting itself, the mind aligning itself, and the entire system then becomes resonant and coherent And this is then spontaneous self-healing, or a theta state that happens. So when we play around with the drishti, or the gaze, we actually reveal blind spots to ourselves, which we all have, and we start seeing fractals, which is repeated patterns. And we can use this to amplify our intention. So it's very important throughout this breath work to keep your attention and attentiveness on your intention. So place your attention inside of your intention and keep it there. Otherwise, the trance states gets lost easily and you're just all up in your head. This is how we connect our feeling and magnetism to this too. We are not just changing the air we breathe, but the very fabric of life itself. And this altered state, when we change the fabric of life with fractal breathwork, notice that when we move our hands, that the hand sends the signals to the nervous system, to the tendons, to the fascia, to the cells, and even smaller than that, on an atomic level, it tells them to spin in a more coherent clockwise direction, which is the Fibonacci sequence. And it resonates with that. So if you want to clear something or destroy something, then you go anti-clockwise. If you want to put something into creation or take it from the unmanifested pure potential into the manifested, you go clockwise. Okay, and this has been proven by the golden ratio, the phi ratio, the Fibonacci sequence. So when the eyes sees this movement, the energetic signals from that movement, seeing that, translates into the brain. The brain sees it and then sends the chemical signals into the blood. And this happens within less than a second, no jokes. Like if you see a lion running up against you, how fast did your body release enough adrenaline for you to get out of there? Your eyes are really the fastest way into the nervous system and into the bloodstream. Okay, so we're going to use 2 fractals today. The 2 fractals that we're going to use today is a prosperity fractal and also a Fibonacci 𝗪𝗏𝗧𝗪𝗏 fractal. So the first one, prosperity, is we're going to use our hands. So we're going to be seated for these meditations, by the way. You're going to use your Jupiter fingers together. Your right thumb is always going to be underneath your left. So you're going to keep it at heart space so your elbows are bent. And you're just going to create hitting your Jupiter or index fingers together with the palms facing down, and then hitting your moon. So this is your moon side of your hand. So your moon meets your Jupiter, which creates prosperity. This is why it's called the prosperity fractal. So it becomes a fractal when your eyes, closing your eyes and then opening it like 1/10, staring at the tip of your nose. So you might notice that you're seeing double, like you're creating that fractal. You're no longer, your brain, when looking at that tip of your nose, which that's also called the Nasagra Drishti, when you're seeing and looking there and looking down and crossing your eyes, your vision starts to double. And when your vision starts to double, you're noticing and opening up the portals to the fractal realm. Okay, so this is also opening up, and I want to say, like, maybe this is taking it too far, but you don't have to believe it, it still works. It also opens up portals to the supergalactic center, which is the channel of consciousness into creation. It opens a vortex to the Ring Nebula, and you guys can check all of this if you want to read more about this. The Ring Nebula is a multidimensional portal that enables access to all that is, and also the Shapely Attractor. So the Shapely Attractor is a heavily octave in yin, which then amplifies this attraction from the unmanifested into the manifested. So all of this happens when we tune into that fractal. And again, you don't have to believe anything astrology wise, but check in with your direct experience. When you are directly experiencing these things and things start to happen, that's when I say in direct experience, you still have faith, but you don't need belief. Okay, so there's the difference for me. Like, if you need belief in something, I would steer clear from that. But we still need faith. And faith is not because I told you so, but faith is more an open-mindedness of truth, an open-mindedness of not knowing where you are going, but trusting that this is the process. So that's having faith, trust. Okay, so sorry, back to the fractal. So this is just going to be the position of the hands. So your Jupiter and your moon hits each other. It doesn't have to be super hard. It's not like the harder you hit, the more prosperity you're going to bring in. So it can be subtle, graceful movements. We're connecting these meridian lines because every single finger is actually antennas to certain planets. So when we are connecting them, we're literally opening up just a channel for them. So when we start doing this and looking at the nose and seeing a fractal, can everyone just try this, like closing your eyes, and tell me if you have any problem, like if it's becoming difficult, if you don't understand what we're doing, just so that I know where everyone is at. You might immediately, if you try that, even just for a couple of seconds, notice that there's this, like, it feels like your eyes are getting dizzy and your head feels light, because we're inviting enormous energy through this. Like, this is your instrument. So if everyone is okay and getting this one, then I will explain the second fractal. So the second, we're doing 3 rounds of this with a fast breath. So the breath that is going to accompany this fractal is a pistol breath. So a pistol breath is in and out only through the nose. And it's going to be a fast, short exhale and inhale. So if you know Kapalabhati, that's a sharp, short exhale, and the inhale happens passively. But with a pistol breath, the inhale also happens actively. So it sounds like this. So in and out is active. We're doing this fast because we want to spin the energy and awaken. This clears out meridian lines, opens up the channels, sends this high vibrational energy into all of these portals, opening it up into the quantum field that is already connected for us to pull through from the unmanifested to the manifested this intention that you have set. Okay, to make that a present awareness in your constant presence. Okay, so that was the first one. Second one is the Fibonacci Uttarabodhi. Okay, so this one is the most powerful hand mudra that you can get. And this is no joke, like really serious people in power. If you see secret photos before they go on stage or before they do a show, they always have this. This is their hand gesture. Okay, so you're connecting Mars with Jupiter. So your index finger and your thumbs, the soft pads are touching each other. They're not pushing into each other, but enough so that you start feeling the heartbeat between those fingers. And the rest are folded and insulated. So elbows will be in line with your heart space, and we're going to create a circular motion in a clockwise direction, a Fibonacci sequence. Now, the gaze can still be at the tip of the nose, but if this becomes a distraction in seeing this, you can also close your eyes and just concentrate on the heart space. So this will be a 5-second inhale, 5-second exhale as we slow down the breath to come into that resonant state. And from there, this is just a powerful gesture of pulling energy from the unmanifested into the manifested, awakening it within your grid of energy. And we will do three rounds of that. Now, important last thing that I want to mention is you're going to imagine yourself sitting in a 𝗪𝗀𝗃𝗃. Okay, if you don't know what a 𝗪𝗀𝗃𝗃 is two pyramids intertwined with each other, the one the normal way around and the other one flipped, and that forms a 𝗪𝗀𝗃𝗃. So you're going to imagine yourself sitting inside of a 𝗪𝗀𝗃𝗃 doing this meditation. Okay, and with every single breath that you take, your breath changes the fabric of life, and it spins this 𝗪𝗀𝗃 from your left to your right in a clockwise direction, bringing energy in. Okay, if you want to do a meditation with a 𝗪𝗀𝗃 to release, you'll spin it the other way around. But in this meditation, because we're inviting energy in, we're spinning it from our left side to our right side, and we're spinning it around and around as fast as you can. Again, you don't have to keep awareness there. We'll sink in just for a little while. Notice we're in the 𝗪𝗀𝗃, start spinning it, and then from there, we'll go into the breath work. Is this making sense for everybody? I know it's a lot, but after this, once we get into the breath work itself, it will become really easy. Okay, beautiful. Also, if the movement becomes too much, you're also very welcome just to rest and do the breath without the movement, without the fractals. Okay, so you know your body and your mind and your experience best. So please grab a glass of water if you don't have one, because water also stores energy. So the storing of the energy, we're going to literally drink the water afterwards, and we're going to drink the energy that we cultivated within our water, within the water of our bodies. And the water element is also really good for integrating all of the energies, because we build up a lot of air, fire, space element expands, and then the container of that becomes the water element. So I'm just going to give you guys a couple of seconds to get your water if you don't already have. And once you have your water, you can just again give me a thumbs up, and then we will start the meditation. Beautiful. Thanks, Simon. Okay. Beautiful. So getting settled. Good to go. Beautiful. Okay. Emily, are you good to go? I don't want to start without you being ready. Okay, perfect. All of us are ready. Okay, beautiful. People, so we're just going to close our eyes, soften our gaze. And again, just Noticing how awareness is already here, already present. Removing any responsibility to change this moment, to manipulate or hold this moment. Notice how held you are within this moment. That there is no responsibility to do anything here. Instead, we'll notice breathwork being done here. Relaxing the eyes, the shoulders, the belly, the hips, sinking deeper into pure being, because being is enough here. Then allowing your breath to just build this grid of a 𝗪𝗶𝗃𝗀 around you. Maybe starting with the base of the first pyramid, which is a cube. So starting with the four corners of the base of the first pyramid, grounding there, sitting in the middle of that square, and then seeing all four corners going all the way up to above the apex of your head. And then at that point, you start seeing that four corners creating another square. And then it meets all the way in the center point where you're sitting at the bottom. Positioning yourself now into the center of that 𝗪𝗶𝗃𝗀. And with your breath, however deep or shallow or fast or slow, just start spinning this 𝗪𝗶𝗃𝗀, whatever color, whatever size. Start spinning, noticing. And we're going straight into our fractal breath work. Awakening, using the energy that is at our disposal on this 8th of the 8th. This Lion's Gate portal is now open and optimized. Sorry guys, here we go from the start. Will be much better. Exhale, let's start together. Fall into the rhythm. These are really fast in and exhalation. Be saying this is too fast. Just fall into this rhythm. Stick to it. Make the breath deeper than the discomfort that the mind is presenting. Life is a flow between harmony and rhythm. Life force with a way of life. rhythm honoring cycles. With every exhale, you are connecting your Jupiter and then your moon. Deep inhale here. Pause. Suspend the breath here. Rest the heart. Soften the mind. Put the hands into a cup shape so the moon side of the hands are touching. The palms are facing up. Keeping this high energy in, just letting the air out. Straight into our bio-compartment. Breath held and empty. Feel this frail cup overflowing. Returning to a natural breath and into the second round. Fast, rapid, fall into the rhythm. Every exhale connecting Jupiter and the moon. Building magnetism. Fuel your intention. Feel your intention. Deeper than just the one word. Feel the essence of that word. Breathe life into that essence. Deep inhalation here. Pause. Pelvic floor muscles lift, heart bloom open, mind expanded like the sky full of stars. You are holding a tender mystery in this interlude. Keep the energy high and just let the air out with these exhales straight into the exhale hole. pulsating with fullness in your emptiness, pure potential, in this womb of no thing inside of the 𝗪𝗲𝗃𝗀𝗃. Reset breath, third and final round for this fractal. Super fast breaths, and every single one of them is energizing this 𝗪𝗲𝗃𝗀 to spin faster and faster, expanding, noticing the color. Maybe you can even feel your powerful exhale on your hands. Fully light breath in. Pelvic floor muscles lift. Expand the rib cage. Push into the eyelids. You can concentrate on the first eye here. Allow the energy to inquire upward. Embrace this infinity without reservation. You are its vessel. Just letting the air out into our exhale hold. Surrender, relax. Holding your grail cup and feel how that abundance is overflowing. Reset breath. We're over to the next fractal. So grab hold, insulate the fingers. Your index finger and thumb touches and is straight. Inhale. Circular movement of your hands in front of your heart. And we drop all of the awareness into the heart. forget the mind. You are doing exactly like you're supposed to. Give yourself permission to sink into the heart and flow. Drop following the urgency of the mind. Climb down the ladder into your heart, into your home, right here. Full deep breath in. Hold just for a moment. And exhale. Mudra, with the thumbs pointing straight into the heart space. Commit to stillness. Keeping the body as still as possible, as you implode energy into the infinite spaciousness of your heart. Expand the rib cage without pulling any air into the chest. Lock your perineum and drop the chin down to the chest. This opens up the portal gate by awakening your Mahabandha. And reset. Second round of this fractal. At all times, keep this hand mudra. Inhaling. Exhaling. Moving into the Fibonacci sequence. Circles in front of your heart. Increasing its magnetism. Using the full capacity of your lungs. We are making more prana bioavailable. We're accessing life force and channeling it in to our grip. So do that with intention. Alter the very fabric of life into your intention and breathe it in and breathe life into it. Full deep breath in, pause for a moment. And fully exhale straight into our breath bowl. We're locking our Mahabandha here. Lock the root. Expand the ribcage out. Chin to chest. Awareness is in the heart space. Open. Cracking your seed of attention. Notice that you can hear this 𝗪𝗪𝗃𝗃 spinning around you. Override the urge. Push past your comfort zone. Safe. And inhale deeply, filling with eternity. Pause. Releasing the bandhas. Concentrating in your heart space still. Feel your intention with all your senses. Reset breath. Start rotating your hands and breathing as deeply as you can. The deeper the breath, the more life force and prana breathe into your intention, and you're breathing that intention in. to physical vessel. At the top of your inhale and exhale, letting all the air out. Surrender here, walking your Mahabandha, pelvic floor walks, ribcage expands, chin to chest. Surrender deeper, deeper into your heart. Starve the mental tendencies and keep holding on your exhale. Switching over to the inhale hold. Let go of any energy locks and just concentrate single pointedly into your heart. Override and restructure the priority. Keep holding. It is safe. At this point, if you want to lay down, feel free to do so, or just be seated in meditation. Become intimate with life through the breath, undressing yourself of all ideas and concepts, noticing what is left, and the spaciousness of nature itself revealing. We have built up this enormous energy of your intention. We have cultivated and pulled it over from the unmanifested into the manifested. We've concentrated and dropped into the heart space. The last thing to do with this energy is offering this to the collective. Offer this to your mother. Offer this to your brother or sister. Offer this to a friend. Offer this to humanity of the collective. Because we know the truth that in offering our deepest heart's desires, intention to the collective, we are feeding ourselves, because we are not separate. May all beings everywhere be happy and safe, inspired and knowing, in harmony and coherence. May they remember their freedom and liberation. And dear one, I invite you just to allow, noticing that everything that arises has the permission to depart. I invite you to notice how everything is already allowed. Even resistance is allowed. The only thing in opposition is a thought, but even that very thought is allowed to arise or not. Meditation is the art of non-interference. By allowing the experience to be whatever it is, exactly as it is. It's time to remember now, dear one. You were born with all your worth intact. That there is nothing that you have to prove or do for this worth and for your best fulfilling life, but simply just to be you, the absolute embodied as a human. Slowly and gently, just coming back to heart's presence, body awareness, and spatial awareness. Noticing the steps you take back here, the pathway you follow, because you have access. You have access to this unified field through the heart into being and pure awareness. Whenever you remember, stepping into your wholeness and bringing that wholeness through this person. Hi. So whenever you guys are ready, you supercharged your waters, so you can thoroughly enjoy your water to help that, to just drink that and ask that to contain this energy within you. But I would love to know how you guys are feeling, even if it's just a word or, yeah, please share. I've been speaking to a screen the whole night. Simon, I'm listening.
Yeah, I think intrigued really is the kind of the interest. Having lots of different practices to see, I guess, the impact and how this feels different or the same, or how things change or they don't. So yeah, I guess sort of open to really what arises for me. That's the key.
Awesome.
And
Yeah.
and I don't know what's going to arise from this. So yeah.
That's amazing. Well, open-mindedness is the key for anything to arise there. Otherwise, if the mind is closed, the door is closed, so then nothing can arise there. So that's very important. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
So Marielle just put in the chat that her mother said she entered the unified field. That's really, really cool. That's amazing.
You've got a whole group of us here, but I think everyone thought that was amazing. That was really beautiful. So thank you for guiding us. Do like a little Williams down there on the floor.
Oh. Awesome. Thank you guys so much. So the one last thing that I want to share with you guys is the mental breathwork challenge that you can carry on. So Simon, you mentioned like carrying on with this and seeing what arises. This is something that requires a lot of consistency to really enter into our structure of our subconscious mind. So what you can do with this is a mental breathwork of inhaling and exhaling onto your left palm. So your left palm is your receiving hand, right? We give with our right hand, we receive energy with our left hand. So you can exhale onto the palm of your hand into a Fibonacci sequence, so a circle. And on this exhale, you're mentally going to repeat to yourself with this breath, I breathe life into, and then your intention. So Simon, you said safety, right? I breathe life into safety. So mentally repeating that, your intention electrically changes the capacity of the very fabric of life, and you're blowing that onto your hand. So in that receiving, on the exhale, what you're doing is you're teaching your mind now that you're receiving more of that in this very moment. Okay, so you're not lying. So you can feel the breath literally entering into the palm of your hand. So you're connecting the energy of feeling, of seeing the Fibonacci sequence, and of the electric. So you're connecting all of these centers with each other, and you're exhaling that, so connecting that to feeling too. So this is something that you can do, and use signposts for you to do this. It might seem crazy to someone else, or even if you're just mentally repeating this and you don't want to do the blowing on your hand or exhaling onto your hand, noticing that you're feeling and informing your nervous system that you're basically not lying to yourself, that you really are receiving more of this intention. You can also just mentally like take a breath. If you see your signpost of, with this breath, I breathe more life into. For me, for the past 3 weeks, it has been gratitude. And crazily enough, higher intelligence knows exactly what I like and what I do not like and what I will be grateful for. So whatever arises were things that I was extremely grateful for, like living in a villa next to the forest with a river flowing in front, and I have my own pool, for example, was something that manifested as something that I am extremely grateful for in the past few weeks. So higher intelligence knows of your likes and dislikes. It's going to know how to make you feel safe and how to present things in order for you to feel that. So breathe life into that. What can you use as signposts? You can use your favorite color, you can use a shape, you can use a sound. It doesn't really matter what you use your signpost as. I like to use my favorite color, and sometimes I color code it with the starting letter. So for example, my gratitude is green. My breathing love into things and receiving more love is lavender. Things like that. So I color code whatever colors, and then when I see that color and I remember, I use that signpost to breathe more life into that. So that is mentally connecting your electrical with your magnetism, your intention, so you can keep that up. And keep that up on a daily basis, even if the mind is telling you this is stupid, you should stop, this is not working, because you will have days that the mental chaos and tendencies are much louder than the feeling itself. Sink back into the heart space, keep doing it. I can really be a witness that doing this on a daily basis, it really takes over your mind. Like, I no longer just see the color, but at random times, I'll just keep repeating, I breathe life into gratitude, I breathe life into gratitude, I breathe life into gratitude. It's like a murmuring going on in my mind, because we learn through repetition after the age of 7. So the more you repeat something, the more it's going to embed and ingrain into your mind. Until that completely takes over, then from there, it becomes an automatic program that's running in your subconscious mind, and it's always running from there. And then you can start working on the second thing. So until that happens and it goes from your conscious mind, first taking over your conscious mind and then sinking into your subconscious mind, work on this very intention. And you'll notice that surprising things come up in your daily basis if you're willing to see them. So this is more, again, working on the context than on the content. But the content will arise if the context is there. We're creating and holding that space. So that is what I have for you today. Please keep me updated of what you start to notice popping up and arising and arriving. And if you're willing and open to see that, to interact with that, this is a super simple but an extremely, extremely powerful practice. I'll send out the replay to you guys too if you want to redo this. It's really powerful. The Lionsgate portal will still be open this entire week. It's just peaking at today. So beautiful. So you can still use the breath work throughout the week too, but keep breathing into that Fibonacci sequence. It's super, super powerful. And please do share with me what comes up, what you experience. I would love to know, just how this starts manifesting in your life. I do care. So please share with me your amazing experiences by email or message, or give me a call. So yeah, this is me. Thank you so much for being here. A lot of you guys are going to watch the replay. And I will send out an email if you're interested to go through this 7-week process where we really dive into what it means to let go of control, surrendering, what it means to stop seeking, all of these things that's really going to help you zoom in and tune in to this quantum manifestation. And if there's nothing from your side, I thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. And thank you to the Great Spirit, to all my guides, to all your guides, for guiding you here, for divine intervention, and for, just this beautiful connection. Thank you guys so much. Much, much, much love to each and every single one of you guys. Have a beautiful week, and I will chat to you soon. Bye, beautiful.
Great. Thank you, Carla.